Today we will discuss how US and NATO broke Libya, turning what was once Africa's most stable country into a chaotic battlefield of militias and proxy war and human trafficking, a story of regime change gone wrong. Western hypocrisy and a humanitarian mission that left a nation in ruins. Libya wasn't always in chaos. After gaining independence in 1951, the country transformed into an oil-rich kingdom under King Idris. But it wasn't in 1969 that Libya's fate truly changed. A young military officer, Muammar Gaddafi, led a coup that overthrew the monarchy. He nationalized oil, expelled foreign powers, and positioned himself as a champion of Arab nationalism. Domestically, Gaddafi introduced free healthcare, education, and housing, giving Libya one of the highest living standards in Africa. But he also ruled with an iron fist, crushing dissent, executing opponents, and spreading fear over the years. His radical politics and unpredictable behavior made him a global pariah. The US labeled him the mad dog of the Middle East. Tension between Libya and the West escalated in the 1980s. The US accused Gaddafi of funding terrorist groups from the IRA to the Palestinian militants. After a 1986 Berlin bombing was blamed on Libya, the US launched airstrikes on Tripoli and Benghazi, killing Gaddafi's adopted daughter. Then, in 1988, a Pan Am Flight 103 exploded over Lockerbie, Scotland. Libya was held responsible and international sanctions tightened. But by the late 1990s, Gaddafi made a U-turn. Pressured by the West, he abandoned Libya's nuclear ambition, dismantled his WMD programs, and handed over Lockerbie bombing suspects. In return, sanctions were lifted and diplomatic ties were restored. British PM Tony Blair even visited him in the desert tent. Oil deals flowed in, and Gaddafi tried rebranding himself as a global statesman. But beneath the surface, the regime remained repressive. Opposition was silenced, and wealth stayed concentrated in Gaddafi's inner circle, while ordinary Libyans struggled. Then came 2011, inspired by Arab Spring uprising in Tunisia and Egypt. Libyans took to the streets demanding change. Gaddafi responded with brutal force, threatening to crush the rebellion in Benghazi with no mercy. The United Nations reacted quickly. Resolution in 1973 was passed, allowing all necessary measures to protect civilians. NATO, led by the US, Britain, and France, launched a bombing campaign to stop Gaddafi's forces. Officially, it was a humanitarian intervention, not regime change, but leaked memos told a different story. A 2011 intelligence briefing revealed that French President Nicolas Sarkozy was motivated by a mix of personal ambition, oil interest, and a desire to stop Gaddafi from launching a gold-backed African currency, and that could rival the euro. With NATO air power behind them, rebel forces swept across the country. In October 2011, Gaddafi was captured, beaten, and killed by rebels in Sirte. The world cheered. Libya was declared free. But here is where it all unraveled. NATO had no post-war plan, no peacekeepers, no disarmament strategy. Libya was left with no central government. Just hundreds of militias, each with their weapons and ambition. The National Transitional Council took power, but it backed and lacked authority. Chaos quickly filled the vacuum. Armed groups began fighting over territory, oil, and power. Human rights abuses skyrocketed. Migrants trying to cross into Europe were trapped in Libya. Many were sold into slavery in actual modern-day slave markets. Exposed by CNN in 2017, weapons looted from Gaddafi's stockpile poured into neighboring countries, fueling violence in Mali, Syria, Gaza, and beyond. Extremist groups like ISIS and Ansar al-Sharia seized territory. Libya became a magnet for foreign interference. Egypt and UAE backed General Khalifa Haftar in the east. Turkey and Qatar supported the Tripoli-based government in the west. Russia deployed Wagner mercenaries while the US pulled back by 2014. A second civil war erupted. Libya was no longer just a failed state, it had become a proxy battleground for global and regional powers. The NATO-led intervention had claimed to protect civilians, but it unleashed a decade of bloodshed. The US and its allies won the war to remove Gaddafi, but they lost the peace, and it was the Libyan people who paid the ultimate price. Once Africa's most prosperous country, Libya, now stands divided, devastated, de-established. So, was Libya better off under Gaddafi? That's not the right question. The real issue is how Western power intervened with no long-term plan, no accountability, no care for the consequences. They promised liberation, but deliver collapsed. If this is what humanitarian intervention looks like, it's time the world seriously rethink its moral compass. Thank you for watching. If you found this video and this breakdown insightful, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to Ahead News 23 for more eye-opening global stories. Stay informed, stay sharp.